So here's what we're doing. We are dealing with similar right triangles, just right triangles. And last semester we did proportions. We took similar figures, set up proportions to solve for missing parts. That is exactly what we're doing here. We also learned about an altitude. And do y'all remember what an altitude is?
Height.
It's a height, okay. And it's always drawn from an angle perpendicular to the base, okay? From an angle perpendicular to the base. So we've always got right angles. So that is an altitude. Okay, specifically in this lesson, we are dealing with right triangles and an altitude that is drawn from the right angle of the right triangle. So it's always got to be drawn from the right angle of the right triangle. Okay, when this happens, you create two more right triangles. So look at this picture right here. Here is your right triangle. We drew an altitude, and we could turn this sucker around like this. So you can see, yep, this is an altitude drawn from the right angle, creates another right angle. All right? But I drew it this way so that it would be a little bit easier to draw the rest of our triangles. All right, so my letters, because I turned it, I did a rotation thing when I snipped this. So now your letters are all upside down. So let's go ahead and fix the letters. This top letter is a C. Right here is a D, A, and then B is where the right angle is. All right, now you've got the big triangle, the medium triangle, and the small triangle. All three of these triangles are similar. They're all similar. Not congruent, similar. Their side lengths have the same ratio. So here's what we're going to do. To be able to identify corresponding parts, we're going to redraw all three triangles facing the same direction. Here's what you need to do. In angle C up here, give it a marking like this. You remember our congruent markings for angles? And then the bottom angle, A, give it 2. This will help you identify where you are so you don't get lost. All right. Now, I'm going to switch over to a pencil. No, I'll go ahead and use pen. I'll just hope I don't make a boo-boo. All right. So I'm going to start out drawing this big triangle first. And that's why you have all this space here. I'm going to draw triangle CBA. Here's my right angle. Bless you. There's the angle with the 1 marking. Here's the angle with the 2 markings. And this is CBA. Okay, this is your main triangle. The big one. It's the big one. All right, now, these other 2 triangles, I want to draw them, but I want to draw them facing the same direction. I don't want them flipped or rotated. This way I can easily determine what parts are corresponding, all right, or what parts are similar. So I'm going to make 2 more triangles. And they can be smaller if you want them to be, but it really doesn't matter. Okay? This is still the right angle. Now, this needs to be the singular, the double, the singular, the double. All right. Now the next part is to determine what these vertices are, what the angles are. So now I'm going to call this the medium triangle. The medium. And this one's going to be the small triangle. So when I look over here, this is my medium-sized triangle. Where is the right angle located in this medium-sized triangle? What's the vertex? D, right here. This is where the right angle is. So I'm going to put D by that right angle. All right? Now, this angle right here is a portion of this right angle. So I really don't know which one that is supposed to be, except this one has the double, correct? So this angle and this angle are the same. So this part, this angle right here, this portion of angle B is this side, which happens to be the same measure as this angle. So this portion of the angle is the same measure as that angle when we draw that altitude through it. Now let's take a look at the small triangle. We're looking at this small one right here. The right angle, there's a right angle on this side, so there's a right angle on this side. If you want to draw it, you can if that helps you. So this right angle is still D. Now, C has the singular one, so we're going to put C here with this singular one. This angle right here is going to be B. And if this helps you, put a double marking there and put a single marking here. That way you can kind of see it just a little bit easier. And let's make a note that this is your altitude, just to remind you. Base all of this around your altitude. Okay, now it states, once we've got it drawn out, I want you to name your similar triangles. Name the similar triangles. So when I look at this first triangle, I can start wherever I want to name this. Okay, I'm just going to start up here at the top and go from C to B to A. And remember, when you're naming a triangle, you put your triangle notation and then the 3 letters of the vertices. So triangle CBA, and it's similar. Remember your similar marking? It's one little squiggly line. It's similar to the medium-sized triangle. So how should we name this medium-sized triangle? BDA. Perfect, BDA. And it's similar to the small triangle, which is CDB. Awesome. Okay. Give y'all just a sec to get that done. Okay. The next step is we need to identify the similar sides. This is where I want you to have highlighters or colored pens or pencils. The similar sides, we drew these facing the same direction, looking the same way, so we can compare the corresponding parts. I'm going to take a yellow highlighter if you have one. If you don't, I've got plenty up here. I'm going to highlight side CB, side BD, and side CD, because those 3 sides are corresponding. Anybody need a yellow highlighter? Catch? Anybody else need a yellow highlighter? I think. All right. Anybody else? And it's not? Okay, we got some back there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, we are going to list that as CB is similar to BD is similar to CD. So I just named all three of these and I wrote down that those are my similar sides. Okay? There's corresponding. They're going to be proportional. All right. Next, I'm going to take pink. If you don't have pink, don't worry about it. I'm using yellow, pink, and green. If you don't have those colors, if you need to use orange, do whatever you need to do. I'm going to highlight BA, DA, and DB. Okay? Those are proportional. So if you don't have pink, if you want to use orange, you can use orange. I think I've got an orange one here. If anybody need one? Okay. I'm going to, if you'll throw that over to Cadence when you're done with it. Oh, okay. Or share. You're awesome. Okay. All right, now I'm going to list those sides. Those are sides BA, similar to DA, similar to DB. And then last, I'm going to use green, and I don't have a whole lot of green. Oh, you know what? I do have these yellows and these greens that if you wanted to use them, you could. Anybody else need? Oh, no, wait a minute. Did I use pink? I need pink.
What color is it?
And then here's pink and green. Over there. All right. Last, I'm going to use green. Use green or some other color, and I'm going to highlight CA. And CA, BA, and CB. Those three sides are proportional. And under this camera, the yellow and the green look alike. That's what drives me nuts sometimes with highlighters. So I'm going to try to, I don't know if you can see that any better. All right, so what we have, similar sides are CA, BA, and CB. All right. In these problems, we're going to identify the similar triangles, set up a proportion, and solve for what is missing. So on number 1, we have this missing part right here. All right, so this practice, what we did here, we're going to do it again. You do not have to write all of this stuff out. This is just to make sure you understand the similarity part, what's similar. Because what we have that is similar is what we're going to get our proportions with to set up. So let's take a look at number 1. Your first triangle. Now notice there's no letters. Let's just go ahead and do this, and we can do it the same way as we did the previous ones. It really doesn't matter. We can go C, B, A, put a single congruent marking there, and a double congruent marking there. We'll just keep it consistent. Right here where the altitude is drawn, that's going to be point D. All right, so here we go. We're going to redraw these because, and the reason why we're going to redraw them is we have to put labels on them. Okay? Now, when it comes to doing your assignment, you might, I recommend drawing them out each time so you don't get numbers confused from different problems. It's a pain in the rear, but we don't give you very many problems to do for this reason, okay? So we're going to draw 3 triangles, just alike. 1, 2, 3. The right angle down at the bottom corner. The single congruent marking at the top, the double congruent marking at the bottom. Okay. This big triangle right here, CBA. So we'll go CBA. And in CBA, I want you to notice that this side right here, CA, that's this hypotenuse, right? Well, I don't know what this portion is. It's X. But this portion is 10. So the whole thing would be X plus 10. So I'm going to label that right here, that the length of that hypotenuse is X plus 10. We might need it, we might not need it. Okay, let's look at the medium-sized triangle. What is the right angle of this medium-sized triangle? Okay, so we're going to put D. This angle is A, and this angle is B. So we can put a single marking right there if we want to. And look at this medium-sized triangle. See the length of BD? It's 15. So we're going to label BD with 15. And side DA right here is 10. So we're going to label that with 10. The smaller triangle, the right angle is D. The single marked angle is C. And then here is the double marked angle, and that would be B. And in this triangle, DB has a length of 15. And CD, this side over here, has a length of X. All right. This is where you have to start looking to set up your proportions. Now, here's what I do. I take a color and I start looking to see which sides are corresponding. In this first triangle, we only have one side. Does it correspond? Do we have any other numbers that it corresponds with? No, because these hypotenuse we don't have values for. I'm not even going to use that. Look here at the middle triangle. You see how I have this side right here? It corresponds with what over here in this triangle? CD, there you go. So these are proportional. I'm going to circle those with the same color. Those are proportional. Now, these two on the bottom, these are proportional. So I'm going to circle those because those are in the same position. All right. Here's how you set up your proportion. We set it up stating that 15 is to X as 10 is to 15. We can write a ratio with those numbers. So the two that are the same color, we're going to write a ratio with them. 15 is to X as 10 is to 15. Do you remember setting up these proportions? Oh, we did it. It was right before finals. Yes, and then to solve it, we do the butterfly, cross multiply. All right? And 10 times X is?
Wait, no, I thought it was 15.
Yeah, 15 and then divide that by 10.
And then you divide that by 10.
Yeah, I'm doing it wrong.
15 times 15 is?
225.
Or, no, it's
225. You can do it either way. Then what would be your last step that you do? Divide by 10. And what do you get when you divide 225 by 10?
22 plus 5.
That is your answer. That is your missing side length. 22.5. Okay. When learning this is the biggest pain in the keister to have to do, to get those done. So we're just going to be practicing and practicing and practicing doing this part. Setting up the proportion is easy once you get this drawn out. Some of you then will be able to identify corresponding parts without drawing these out because you'll get the habit. The theorems teach you to do it without drawing it out, but similarity, guys, is huge. On the SAT, I would say almost a half of that test can be solved you setting up some type of a proportion. And so that's why I'm focusing on this method this year, because it's good practice for those standardized tests y'all have to take on down the line. Okay, let's look at number 2. Start out labeling the angles C, B, A, single marking, double marking. All right. Now, if you don't want to draw out this first one, literally you don't have to because it's already drawn out for you, right? We've got Y, we've got this side, and you could label this side as 7. I'm going to go ahead and draw it out, but if you want to take some shortcuts, if you're feeling kind of froggy, jump on in there, take some shortcuts, but I'm going to go ahead and draw the whole thing out. Okay, right angles, single, double. All right, my main triangle is CBA. My medium triangle, oops, I forgot to put the D there. My medium triangle is BDA. My small triangle is CDB. CDB. Now, take the numbers from your original and label your pictures. CA has a length of 7. CB has a length of Y. In this picture, you have DA. DA is 5. And that's the only side you have for it. And in the smaller triangle, you've got CD is 2. And Y is CB, the hypotenuse. Okay, now, you want to find complete ratios, so corresponding parts. All right, we can show that this side right here corresponds with this side, but there's nothing there. It also corresponds with this side, which is 2. So Y and 2 correspond. My hypotenuse over here is 7. I don't have anything over there, but it corresponds with this hypotenuse Y. Now, this side, we don't need it. We can't use it. We're going to set up our ratios. How are we going to set up our ratios with these? Y is to 2 as 7 is to Y. Notice I started with this in my first ratio, this triangle, so I have to start with that triangle in my second ratio. That's the important part. All right. What do you get when you cross multiply and get Y times Y?
2 Y's.
Not 2Y, Y squared. Y plus Y is 2Y. Y times Y is Y squared. and then take the square root, multiply 2 times 7, you get 14. Now, we've done this. We did this yesterday. What do you do to solve for y?
I don't know. You divide.
Not divide. How do you undo the y squared? Square root. There you go. So y is equal to the square root of 14. And you can leave it just like that. 14 cannot be simplified. You can, but it doesn't. It doesn't have any common score factors. Just 2 and 7, and those are prime. Let's take a look at this back page. I want you to notice that the right angle for the main triangle is on the top. We can still draw this with the right angle in the corner. I think if you keep things consistent, it makes it a little bit easier for you. Okay? And so we've got a single angle, double angle there marking. Now, I'm going to mark it this way. I'm going to say A, B, and then C. Over here for the medium-sized angle, since if you look at this triangle, since this has the single marking, this side of angle B should have the double marking, and this side of angle B should have the single marking. So when we mark these in here, what is this angle in my medium triangle?
It's A.
A, D, B. And then in this triangle, B, D, C. There you go. Okay. Now, take your numbers and start labeling your triangles. Oh.
I'm loaded off.
Here we go. AB right here. AB has a length of 20. AC, this whole thing right here is y plus x. I promise you we will not be using that. Okay? That is nasty. We don't want to use that. BC, this side right here is 15. And if you want to, anywhere you see BC, you can put 15. You can just kind of go through the whole thing. Anywhere you see an AB, you can put 20. BD, this side right here is 12, so anywhere you see BD, put a 12. AD is Y, DC is X. So now we've got all of our parts labeled. Now I'm highlighting this again. I'm doing this so you have your notes to reference. When you're doing the assignment tomorrow, do you have to highlight? No, this is just if it helps you, okay? I'm going to take my yellow. I'm going to circle 20. It corresponds with Y, which corresponds with 12. All three of those correspond. I'm going to take pink, and 15 corresponds with 12, which corresponds with X. Now, here's the deal, Pickles. This Y plus X corresponds with 20 and 15, but you do not want to set up a proportion with two different variables in it. You're not going to be able to solve for one of the variables and get a definitive answer. So we're not even going to use those. We can solve for X by setting up proportions right here. Okay? 12 is to X or 15 is to x. You can literally take your pick. There's multiple ways you can do it, and that can be what is a little bit tricky. All right? Let's see. Oh, wait. I did mine a little bit different on my notes. I think what I did was this. I did this way. I used one triangle, and I said 20 is to 15 as y is to 12. I did it that way so that I could see this ratio to this ratio. I don't have to keep yellow to yellow and pink to pink, because if you remember, there's multiple ways to set up your ratio. If you wanted to, would it be better if I kept them that way? Huh? Would it be better? Okay. If we keep it that way, what I can do is I can say 20 is to y as 15 is to 12. That way I've only got one variable. 20 is to y as 15 is to 12. And that will solve for my y value. Cross multiply. You got oh, would y'all like to see what I'm writing? Okay.
No.
All right. So you got 15y is equal to 20 times 12, which is 240. Divide both sides by 15. What do you get? 16. So that has a length of 16. Sometimes your numbers will be whole numbers. Sometimes they'll be decimals. Okay? Or radicals. All right, let's do solve for x. Who wants to tell me how to set up a proportion to solve for x now?
20 is to 15 as 12 is to x.
Perfect. 20 is to 15 as 12 is to x. 20 is to 15 as 12 is to x. Now, since we found y was 16, you could actually use 20 is to 16 if you wanted to, now that you know it. But if you want to use what's actually there, this is be the best way to go. So we've got 20x is equal to, what's 15 times 12? 180. Divide 180 by 20.
9.
And you've got 9. So x is equal to 9. This one had a little bit more work involved to it because we had two different variables. But never write a proportion with two different variables in it. You will get lost. All right. Here is mine. And I did the big triangle, the medium triangle. So I did this medium triangle, and then I did the smaller triangle. Okay? So yours may be flipped in a different order. Don't worry about it. It's okay. What I want you to notice is that the big triangle only has the hypotenuse. All right. We aren't going to use the big triangle. Check out your proportions. You've got these corresponding sides, x and 4, 9 and x. There's your corresponding parts. Set that up. X is to 4 as 9 is to x. Cross multiply, you get x squared is equal to 36. Take the square root, and x equals 6. Okay. I'm not going to do the last ones because of time. But guys, the whole purpose of this is to get your, here, I'll keep this here so y'all can see it. To get your similar triangles, get them set up correctly. Then you can identify the corresponding parts. If you can identify what corresponds without setting this up, you go for it.